everybody. Welcome to Three and Out, except this time there's only two of us. Fee, what's going on? What happened?
Yeah, welcome to week 4 of the Three and Out podcast. Yeah, we're missing our fearless leader today.
Yeah, he decided to go on vacation to Disney World. But
Straight into a
don't
hurricane.
right, yeah. He decided to go to Disney World and he might be evacuated as we speak. He might be getting evacuated right now as we speak. But don't worry, viewers at home. We do have Wayne on a stick. Wayne, how do you feel about fantasy football? My team sucks. I'm 0-3 in Nitro. That sounds about right. There's the Wayne recap, everybody. We'll come back to him later. Fee, Giants, what do you think? Malik Neighbors, rookie of the year.
Yeah, well, it looks that way, doesn't it? Marvin Harrison will give him a run for his money. I think they're going to be neck and neck throughout the whole year. It really is just going to matter whether the Giants can stay feeding him all year long, and whether he starts to get covered by defenses, and whether Kyler Murray is going to be able to get the ball to Marvin Harrison a little bit more.
Yeah,
But right now, Malik Neighbors is like his volume is like through the roof, is record setting. So
it's quite impressive considering the quarterback that is throwing him the ball and the offensive line that is blocking for said quarterback.
yeah.
I mean, the possibilities are endless if you could shore up those two positions for your team up there. That being said, listeners, we are going to try to pull this off, just the two of us. I'm sure Wayne is somewhere fretting every moment of this because he's losing all control and he's left us in charge of this, but we're going to pull it off. We're going to do a great job here. Fee, don't you have confidence in us to pull this off?
Of course, I got confidence in us. We'll be fine.
All right, so we're going to start, as we always start, with buy it or bullshit. And Wayne has posted questions for us because, he really can't relinquish control.
He didn't. I did.
Oh, you posted these questions.
Yeah.
Oh, you sneaky little farfin. Well, sorry to Wayne out there, but Fee, you posted some good questions. So the first
Oh,
question
thanks.
for our listeners and for, I guess, me out there is, are the Bills the best team in football? And followed by Josh Allen looks pretty good, which is of course, a dig at Wayne because he loves
Oh, 100%.
who is currently the MVP of the NFL and looks amazing and probably driving Wayne crazy. I'm going to answer this question for you, Fee, with a simple no, because I think the best team in football is the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm basing that off of the schedule. The Vikings have beat the Giants, the 49ers, and the Texans. The Bills have beaten the Cardinals. They're decent. The Dolphins without Tua, basically, and the Jaguars, who we basically assume might be the worst team in football. So
Mhm.
I'm not saying the Bills aren't good. I just think right now that the Vikings have beaten stronger teams. So I would lean on the Vikings being the best team in football.
Here's what I got to say about this. I do think the Bills are the best team in football currently. That may not be the case, after a few more weeks here when we find out who they really are, and whether or not Josh Allen can actually put them on his back and take them to the playoffs. But I don't believe that the Vikings are the best team in football, just because I don't necessarily believe in Sam Darnold, especially now that he's dinged up. And yes, they beat some good teams. Their defense has been fantastic. But again, I don't know that they can keep up what they're doing and not get kind of exposed later on in the year. So they are very good. I just think that the Bills are a better team currently.
Think we both of us will have valid arguments next week when they both finish their games this weekend, right? The Bills play the
Yeah.
Ravens and the Vikings play the Packers. So both of them
Yep.
have solid matchup.
Yep.
All right, your next question here. The Commanders have not punted in over 2 full games.
Yeah.
Are they for real? And since we are in an election cycle, I decided to not answer your question and pose your question with a question. And I
Fantastic.
decided to ask you, is the bigger question I have for you is, did the Bears blow it again? Is Caleb Williams going to be not as good as Jaden Daniels?
So, and my answer to that is currently it looks that way.
Really does.
Jaden Daniels does look very good. Uh, he's running the ball like we thought he would, which is why I believed in him coming into the year, if you remember, if you recall,
Yeah, you
that
definitely were higher on him than you were on Caleb Williams.
I was, and I thought that he was going to have a very good fantasy year. Now, it seems as though he's going to have a fairly decent real year. And Caleb Williams does not look all that great. Now, things could change. They're still both rookies. Um, it takes some time for rookie quarterbacks to kind of get the hang of it and kind of figure it all out. Um, and Caleb Williams should still be a fairly decent quarterback. Um, he's more of a pocket passer type of guy rather than what Jaden Daniels is, where he's trying to get out of the pocket. And I think that bodes well for him long term. But I think we just have to wait and see here. I mean, yes, Jaden Daniels looks great early on and much better than Caleb Williams does. Caleb Williams also, we said had all these weapons on offense, right? Keenan Allen has not played yet. Rome Odunze is still a rookie, and DeAndre Swift is not the answer at
No,
running back.
no, not at all.
Okay. So all of this, all of these superstars that we thought that Caleb Williams had surrounding him have not really come to fruition. And again, as a Daniel Jones semi used to be apologist, where I made excuses for him where it was he never had anybody around him and his offensive line was garbage all the time, and all of these things are true, but good quarterback can overcome those type of things. A rookie quarterback might not be able to. And Caleb Williams kind of has a lot of things kind of stacked against him currently, so we'll have to wait and see how
Well,
things
and I
kind of turn
think the
out as the
bigger thing
season goes on.
is the Commanders have a system set up for Jaden Daniels to be more successful instantaneously. They can rely on a running game. Austin Eckler looked pretty decent Monday night, right? He ran the ball well. Brian Robinson Jr. looked really good. That offensive line is blocking very well. Your best friend Terry McLaurin is doing Terry McLaurin type things. I mean, they looked amazing. I mean, so I think that's going to help them. But the bigger thing that's hanging out there, if you're a Bears fan, is the fact that Justin Fields is 3-0. And you are fretting the fact that, oh my gosh, there's this guy who we ran out of town because he was terrible, and we're gonna bring in Caleb Williams, and everything's gonna be fixed. And now things aren't looking very good in Chicago, and things are looking pretty good in Pittsburgh, and that's not helping the Bears fans who are already fretting, oh my gosh, we might have blown this pick yet again. That is my concern right there. To your question of, yes, I think the Commanders are for real, and I think their division allows them to be for real. And whereas the Bears are in a much harder division. All right, more injuries, and I cannot wait to bring in Wayne on a stick for this one. More injuries. Buy it or BS. Backups will take fantasy owners to championships. This is why I hate fantasy. You're playing with backups nobody wanted, and he does not like when people get hurt. Nobody does, but Wayne really hates it. Here's the thing that I said. I said it's why your draft is important, right? I mean, it's why you draft. I don't know. It's why you try to stock up on wide receivers, knowing that you're going to have guys banged up, or why you try to say, okay, I have these two running backs, but I might have to pass on a quarterback this round to get this other running back because there's no way all three of these guys or two of these guys are going to make it all season. Yeah, I mean, will backups take you to championships? No, because let's be honest, when the dust settles at the end of the year, if you have Patrick Mahomes and he's played 16 out of 17 games or whatever, there's a good chance your fantasy team is doing well. If I don't know, what's his face?
Saquon?
Saquon. There you go. That's a great example. Continues to do what he does and not get hurt. Yeah, you're gonna run yourself into the playoffs, and you never know what's gonna happen. But I do think there is an importance to your bench. I do think there's an importance to waiver wire, which I do want to give a shout out to Rec Shop and Nitro League for spending $33 on a player who got 0 points last week. That was amazing. That was amazing. I pay attention to those things. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Fink?
I think that backups will have a very important part in helping you get to the playoffs, I think. Maybe not necessarily to a championship, especially if your superstar players, the guys that you thought were gonna get you there and help you win a championship, are healthy later on in the season. Um, but backup players, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, whoever they are going to help you win games throughout the year, and they are just as important as the superstars that are on your team, I think.
And do you think, because I always look at this, right? And as a current two different league owning AJ Brown in both leagues owner, would you rather have? I would much rather have the injury now than later on in the season, right? And if you can
Yeah.
survive the first few weeks without your number one pick, as in my case,
Yep.
um, and and then all of a sudden he comes back and your team just becomes that better. It's kind of fun, right? Like I kind of
Oh
look at
yeah.
that, like, hey, he hasn't been here for so long. Oh my gosh, he's on our team still, right?
Yep. Yep.
There's always
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah, I would agree with that. I absolutely would rather have an injury early on in the season, especially the first few weeks when no one really knows what's happening with too much of anybody unless you have the superstar kind of players. And then you're right, and 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, 6 weeks down the line, your superstar player comes back, and you're like, I can make a run now, you
Yeah,
know?
it's fun.
So yeah, it's definitely a fun kind of situation.
All right, so you had a question about Malik Neighbors. I think we answered that already. So I'm going to ask you a question. Will, buy it or BS, Trevor Lawrence finishes the season as the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I'm buying that. I don't think that they're gonna take him out by any means. As bad as he's playing, I think he'll still be their starter for the whole year. I'd be shocked if they decided to bench him just because, I mean, listen, the Jaguars as a team as a whole are bad. Like it's not just Trevor Lawrence. And so to put it all on him, yes, he's playing poorly for sure, but to put it all on him and be like, "Oh, we need to bench you because we're better without you." I don't think that's the answer either.
Okay, so here's the part you missed. Do the Miami Dolphins make an amazing trade offer for Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I have a better question for you. I'm going to answer
Okay.
your question with a question.
Okay, all right. Hit me with it.
What about the Steelers trading Russell Wilson to the
Ooh,
Dolphins
that's more
because
likely than
it
my
looks
far
like
fetched.
looks
Yeah.
like they might not need him with Justin Fields playing
It's
the way.
interesting that really quick on that. It's interesting that Mike Tomlin will not commit to Justin Fields being the starting quarterback, but yet every
I
week
know.
Fields is starting quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think he's playing a great game there because the minute he
Of
says he's
course.
starting quarterback and then Justin Fields go out and sucks, everyone's going, oh, and Mike Tomlin's gonna be like, oh, you boxed me into a corner. Where now he can be like, I'm just gonna ride this and see how long I can ride this.
100%. And yeah, he's absolutely doing the right thing.
And
Smart move by him.
and it's
And
Mike Tomlin. So
yeah, and you have to ride with him. He's 3-0. Like
right.
how are you going to be like, you know what? We're going to bench you now and put in Russell Wilson. See how that works out. No, you keep going with Justin Fields until you realize, or until I mean, listen, he's been playing well, so unless he starts not playing well again, and you start losing a couple of games, and when you just like, all right, well, let's just go to Russell Wilson. No problem.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's a lot of drama there. It's always fun when the NFL has a great start to the season, and the soap opera side of it is also really good at the same time. And I think there's a lot of good subplots to the good season already, right? So
For
that,
sure, for sure. The Dolphins really need to make a move at quarterback
yeah, they're taking way
sometime
too
soon.
long at this too.
They need to do something. I don't know what the answer is. Maybe you bring in Ryan Tannehill, but they need to do something.
I'm,
They gotta.
I can't believe they haven't yet, to be honest. It's crazy to me. All
Uh,
right. Well, we're going to move on to locks of the week, where last week we told you all to take the Bears, and that was a terrible move because the Bears looked terrible. So that being said, I finally did pick a winner in the Bills because the Bills told everybody on Monday Night Football, watch this as Josh Allen threw 5 touchdowns on his first 5 drives, which was amazing.
Yep.
How do you feel about that, Wayne? He still sucks. He's not good. Wayne, he's pretty good right now. I don't think so. All right. So Fee, who are you picking this week?
Well, last week I took the Broncos +7, and they crushed the Bucks,
They looked amazing, and the Bucks looked terrible.
and I nailed that one.
You
So
did.
I'm just gonna take a victory lap on that. But this week, I'm actually gonna go against the Broncos. They just had their Super Bowl. It was great. I had it. Now I'm gonna take the Jets -7.5 against the Broncos. I don't really believe that the Broncos are a very good team. The Jets are a very good team. Their defense, while they have not been playing up to par, have been playing better. And their offense actually looked halfway decent last week. So I'm gonna take the Jets -7.5 at home against the Broncos.
It's not a. I looked at that. I don't know. I just think the number's a little high. That defense for the
It
Broncos
is.
is good, but I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, as much as it pained me to say Aaron Rodgers looked really good last week.
Hmm.
I'm going with the Texans at home against the Jaguars. We saw what the Jaguars looked like Monday night, and I don't think they get better.
Yep.
And they're going to play a Houston team
That
who
just lost.
just lost. But to be fair, I mean, the Vikings are good, and the Vikings are beating people. I think the
Mm.
Texans will figure it out. I think CJ had a bad game. He hasn't had a bad game in like 10 games. It's allowed to happen for a young quarterback. So I'm going with the Texans. I did for a hot second flirt with taking the Bucks, but now there's just the injury report is full on both sides. I thought I was like, okay, there's nobody on the Eagles offense playing, but now it looks like there's nobody on the Bucks offense playing either.
Right.
So, do we want to pick one or do we just
Well,
want
who's Wayne on a stick got?
All right, well, hold on. Wayne on a stick, to be fair, doesn't understand why neither one of us are picking the Cowboys to beat the Giants.
All right, listen. I mean, that's a good pick too. So,
It's just that he doesn't really like Dak Prescott. So that's why he's worrisome about it.
but the Giants aren't good.
No, they're not good. They're not. But yet this could be their Super Bowl, you
It
know?
could be. It
I
could
mean, they
be.
didn't look halfway bad against the Browns after they fumbled the kickoff.
I know. I know.
So,
Uh, I like the Texans. I'll take the Texans
all right,
minus the
we're
seven.
going with the
I think that's a
Texans.
smart pick. It's a good number. They're playing against the Jaguars. I think that's a smart pick.
All right. And now we're going to the part of the show that should be the easier part for us because this is FanDuel Fee. So FanDuel Fee, take it away.
Yeah, yeah. Here we go. So, week 4 of the FanDuel fees stacks of the week, and we're gonna get started here with a name we've already spoken about, Jaden Daniels. I love him this week against the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals defense is not good. But the stack is going to be not with a receiver, but with Brian Robinson Jr., their running back.
Not a bad one.
And I love the combination of Daniels and Brian Robinson. Daniels is 8,200. I think he's number 5 or 6 on salary on FanDuel in quarterbacks. Brian Robinson is only 7,300. I think no matter what, you need to get Brian Robinson in your lineup at 7,300. That's a solid salary. And I think he's a solid running back. Oh, and by the way, Austin Eckler is out this week with a concussion. No Austin Eckler.
Didn't know that. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be Brian Robinson all day.
I really
And
like
so
that.
so even if you don't play Jaden Daniels, but I think you should, even if you don't, I think you get Brian Robinson in your lineups as well, no matter what. Stack number 2, Dutton just talked about the Texans. CJ Stroud, 7,800. You pair him up with Nico Collins, who did not have a great week last week. I think he has a bounce back week this week. Nico Collins, 7,700 against the Jaguars. I don't think you can go wrong one way or the other with either one of those guys. And stack number 3, this one is kind of an off the cuff one, but I wanted to throw it out there because it's cheap, and it's Andy Dalton, who, by the way, had the most yards passing and most touchdowns for a quarterback last week at over 303. Going against the Bengals.
Wasn't he one of the first quarterbacks to throw for over 300 yards in the season?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
this season, yes.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant. This season. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're playing the Bengals. who do not have a good defense
Do
at
they have
all.
any defense?
I don't, yeah, I mean, they've given up 30 points, I think, like, what, 2 out of the 3 weeks
Yep.
so far. Their defense is kind of non-existent. Andy Dalton has been firing it. And, oh, by the way, Deontay Johnson, who I liked coming into the year, he didn't do anything really with Bryce Young, but really the entire Panthers defense didn't do anything at all. But I really like that combination of Andy Dalton at 7K with Deontay Johnson at 6,200. And I'm not opposed to again having Deontay Johnson in your lineup as a one-off, even without Andy Dalton at 6,200, because I really like the play there against Cincinnati. And then a couple other ones that I really like that are not stacks. Carson Steele at 5,800 against the Chargers. No, no Pacheco,
Nope.
and I think Samaje Perine is banged up.
He is. He's a little
Um,
nicked. I think he had an
and
injury
so
coming out of
yeah,
practice.
and yes, they elevated Kareem Hunt, but that doesn't scare me at all. I think Carson Steele, I think he had 17 touches last week. I think that continued. He didn't score. I think that continues this week against the Chargers. Chargers are not a good team. Um, and as long as Carson Steele gets that volume, I think that's a solid play, especially at that salary at 5,800. So that's another one I really like. A couple others, Zach Moss at 6,900 on the other side of that Bengals Panthers game. Panthers defense isn't all that great. Zach Moss looked pretty good last week for the Bengals. And they're playing Carolina. So at 6,900, I think that's a pretty decent play. And then I wanted to throw this one out there too, a tight end. I really like Isaiah Likely this week against Buffalo. Um, I just think that the Ravens are going to have to get back to throwing the ball to the tight end. Buffalo's D is good against the run. So Lamar's going to have to throw it, but with how bad his accuracy is, I like him being able to dump it off down below and underneath. And Mark Andrews looks not great. He
No,
doesn't look
he
like
does not
himself. He
look good
doesn't
at
look
all.
like he used to look. Something's wrong there, and I don't trust him at all. And I think that Isaiah likely has another game this week. He's only 5,500. There are other tight ends around that area, maybe a little bit more expensive, but if you need to save a few dollars, I like playing likely this week. And that's my stacks of the week. Get Brian Robinson and Deontay Johnson in your lineups, one way or
Yeah,
the
I
other.
like that. And I do agree with you on the Mark Andrews. There's definitely something not right there at all. Like he was almost non-existent for a game where you thought he would be more existent, especially as they're trying to shore it up. Just throw the short pass rather than the long ones, but it was weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to starts and sits, where we do have some from Head on a Stick Wayne to enter the conversation. So, Fee, we're going to start with you. Who are you starting at quarterback this week? I think the listeners know you've said his name enough this week already.
Yeah, it's Jaden Daniels against the Cardinals. I'm not sure how you can't not start him. So absolutely have Jaden Daniels in your lineup no matter what.
Wayne, as much as it pains me to say this, Wayne is going to say he wants to start Dak against the Giants, which I actually don't disagree with him as being that bad of a pick. I am going to go to the well one more time, but I think this week, and again, this is Wednesday night. I'm hoping the Evans injury, I'm hoping the Godwin injury aren't as bad as they're supposed to be. I think Baker lights it up this week because he did not look good last week, but he looked really good the last time he played the Eagles at home, and he gets to play the Eagles at home again. And
This isn't Homer Love at all.
no, it's not Homer Love. I think this, I mean, I don't know. And if he messes me up, then I go back to maybe not liking Baker. So, I'm trying to like him.
Come on, I
All right.
love Baker.
All right,
We
who we
love
starting?
Baker.
Who we starting? I think we're starting Jaden Daniels because we have to just because we said his name so many times.
Yeah, yeah, it's Jaden Daniels this week.
All right, I'm going to start with head on a stick. Wayne would like to start, and this one is a good one, I think. Chuba Hubbard versus the Bengals. I mean, Chuba looked amazing last week against the Raiders, and we both just said the Bengals don't have a defense. So
Yep. No,
I
I think that's a good pick.
yeah, I went with Tony Pollard against the Dolphins. I think the Titans don't have much other than maybe a chance to run the ball. This could be the end of Will Levis if they don't look good this week. How about you, Fee?
Yeah, I actually like that Tony Pollard pick too. Those are both very good picks, Chuba and Tony Pollard. I am going with Aaron Jones this week.
Ooh,
Uh,
revenge game.
Revenge game. I'm all about the revenge games going up against the Packers. I know the Packers have a really good D, but Minnesota's offense has looked good, and I just think that they try to get Aaron Jones going, especially going up against his old team.
I really like that pick, and we're gonna go with it for the simple fact that it's the revenge game. So we're going with Aaron Jones. It's the revenge game. It's got to be fun. Add some juice. Put some spice on it. It'll be fun.
I like the spice.
Yeah. All right. Wide receiver, head on a stick. Wayne is going with. This is going to be a shocker to everybody, but he is going to go with Rome Odunze for having a big week this week against the LA Rams, who got lucky last week, kind of coming back against 49ers. That team is banged up. I don't know. They got to try something Chicago. So that's what Wayne's going with. Wayne on a stick. How you feel about that? I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm gonna go off the limb. All right. Come on, Wayne. Shake it up. Fee, who you going with?
I am going with DK Metcalf against the Lions. The Lions do have a very good secondary. Well, they have a decent secondary. They've been exposed a bit here early on in the
Their
season.
secondary is better than what they are playing. They should be better than what they are playing right now.
Right. But I do like DK Metcalf and I like JSN this week also. So both of the Seahawks receivers against the Lions, especially if the Lions put up points this week, I think Seattle's gonna have to do something to stay with them that way. Um no Kenneth Walker again, and I know Charbonnet looked good, but I think they're gonna have to throw the ball more often than not, and DK Metcalf and JSN should be direct beneficiaries.
Alrighty. I went with Chris Olave against the Falcons. Last week was kind of a remember me, I'm on this team. And we kind of talked about Rashid Shaheed having 0 points. Chris Olave got a lot more targets, and I think that continues this week against the Falcons, which all of a sudden has become a pretty important game in the NFC South when you think about it. Who we going with?
Uh,
I like DK Metcalf. I like the Monday night. I think it's a big spotlight for him. It could be a big game for him. I kind of like that idea.
Who's a Dunze playing again?
The Bears are playing. Hold on one second. I have it right here in front of me. The LA Rams
Ooh, the Rams.
at
That's
home
interesting.
in
I don't know if we
Chicago.
can I don't know if we can make that our start though.
All right.
Let's go. I'm fine with DK
All
Metcalf. I
right.
was
DK it
thinking
is.
about Olave, but
Right. All
let's
right.
go.
Well, for this one, I'm going with Cole Kmet for our tight end against the Rams because I know head on a stick was all about Chris Olave, but I think the Bears are going to be much safer and they're going to go to their, every rookie quarterback's favorite person, the tight end. And Cole Kmet is a solid tight end, and I think this week he has a big game. Head on a stick, actually, he has a good one. Moose versus the Colts. I think
It's
Justin
his
Fields,
favorite player.
he loves them. He loves them. So why wouldn't he go? All right, who you got, Fee?
I got Jake Ferguson against the Giants.
He let us down
This
last
one
week.
he did, but this one I think is a no-brainer just because they can't run the ball at all, and the Giants can be passed on fairly easily. And I think that Jake Ferguson comes up big for them this week. I mean, he's basically their number two receiver.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So if Dak's gonna play well, then Jake Ferguson is gonna have a big game too.
I like all these tight ends this week, but we're going back to Turd. Turd, you're not going to let us down 2 weeks in a row. So
I like
Turd
it.
Ferguson it is. All right. So your starts of the week for 3 and out, that includes Fee, Dunton, and of course, head on a stick Wayne, are Jaden Daniels versus the Cardinals, Aaron Jones in a revenge game versus the Packers, DK Metcalf Monday night against the Lions, and Turd Ferguson tomorrow night, Amazon Prime's game against the Giants. Now we're going to the sits of the week. I'll start us off. Brock Purdy versus the Patriots. I don't know who Brock Purdy has on offense. And the Patriots defense is pretty good. So I'm a little worried about Brock Purdy this week going up against a solid defense. Head on a stick, Wayne is losing just for this week some confidence in Sam Darnold. versus the Packers. Banged up, and the Packers defense is solid. Uh, Fee, who you going with?
I'm going with Anthony
I agree.
Richardson against the Steelers defense, who has been fantastic to start this season. And Anthony Richardson has not. Um, he is throwing less than 50% completion percentage, so he's not been able to get the ball to his receivers. And I think going against the Steelers does him no favors. And so Anthony Richardson has to be a sit this week.
All righty. I really agree with your Anthony
Who are we
Richardson.
going with?
Yeah, we're going with Anthony Richardson because that's who I was going to go with. And you had already had him in the spreadsheet, so that's why I went with
Nice.
Brock Purdy. But yeah, Anthony Richardson it is. All right. So running back, start us off. Fee, who you sitting this week? Running back.
I am gonna sit Zamir White against the Browns defense. Browns have a very good run defense. Zamir White showed us nothing last week when he had the opportunity to, and I'm just not feeling it against the Browns. So sit Zamir White this week.
Head on a stick. Wayne is sitting James Conner versus the Commanders. Lots of runs from Kyle Murray and lots of passes, but maybe not a lot of running from James Conner. He's predicting. I am sitting Rashad White versus the Eagles. I think the Bucks winning this game is going to be on the arm of Baker Mayfield. I don't think they're going to be running the ball very well. And if they do run the ball, it will be with Fee's new running back, Bucky Irving, who he outbid me for. Thanks a lot.
Yep.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, so I'm sitting Rashad White. It's funny that we both picked a guy with last name White to sit this week. So
Let's sit White.
Yeah, so let's sit White, but which White are we sitting?
I think we should sit Rashad White. I think that's a very smart move.
Okay, R White it is. R White. All right. I am sitting, and this might be the last time he plays for this team. I am sitting Devontae Adams versus the Browns. I don't know if you heard one of your favorite Giants players of all time, the head coach of the Raiders, say,
Pierce.
yeah, Antonio Pierce say that he was taking notes of who was focused on the game as they were losing and who wasn't, and all eyes seem to be pointing to Devontae Adams and the multiple drops he had and the lack of focus. And I think if Devontae Adams doesn't have a good game this week, we might not see Devontae Adams much longer with the Raiders. The unfortunate thing is Gardner Minshew is not a very good quarterback, and he's going up against a defense that you just said is very good in the Cleveland Browns. So I'm worried about Devontae Adams this week, and I'm worried about Devontae Adams moving forward with the Raiders. Fee, who you sit?
Well, wait a minute. Is Devontae Adams going to get traded? Is
I
that
think
what
he gets traded. I think he gets traded. I think the Raiders start to look at, draft picks, start to figure out, okay, we like Antonio Pierce as our coach. Let's start to get draft capital. I think there's a team very close to where you live that would love to have him.
I was just going to say maybe the Jets.
Yep, that's the team because we know who runs the front office of that team.
Oh, Rodgers.
Right, number 8. So yeah, I mean, come on. Of course he wants Devontae Adams on that team.
That would be something. That would be something.
Mm-hmm. All right, so who are you sitting?
I am gonna sit Jalen Waddle against the Titans this week. No Tua. We saw what that looked like with Skyler. He's hurt now. I don't even know who they're bringing in. I don't know if it's Huntley or somebody else. But I don't think you can start many people on the Dolphins, and I think Jalen Waddle is the odd man out here. So sit Jalen Waddle.
Not bad at all. Wayne has an interesting one, and I kind of like it. Head on a stick, Wayne and Zay Flowers versus the Bills. And he's not wrong if they're going to use the tight end, like you said, and the Bills' defense is solid. Maybe Zay Flowers doesn't get a lot of targets and looks. So, not a bad pick there, head on a stick, Wayne. Even in Disney, I know what I'm talking about. Nobody listens to me. There he is, guys. There's Wayne. We love you, Wayne. Of course, we listen to you. We just like to listen to you after you tell us. All right, who are we sitting? I like the Jalen Waddle sit. I think the Dolphins. I mean, what happens if the Dolphins lose to the Titans? Right, like it's bad, right?
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, if they win, they're gonna have to do it on the ground, I think.
Yes, they are. They are. Which why I almost said to start A-Chain, but I think everyone's starting him anyway. So, all right, Wayne is going to start us, and this is an interesting one, but I kind of agree with him. It's not that he's not going to get better, but this is not the week. Travis Kelce versus the Chargers. Chargers linebackers are going to be good enough, and I think teams are just figuring out double team Travis Kelce for right now and to make Patrick Mahomes use other people to beat us. And I think head on the stick Wayne is onto something. I am sitting a banged up Sam Laporta versus the new Seattle defense that we can't call the Legion of Boom apparently because we're not allowed to, but they are pretty good. Right now on Wednesday night when we film this, we don't even know if he's officially playing, so I'm saying sit him anyway. Fee?
I like that pick. I am sitting Mike Gesicki against the Panthers. While I know the Panthers are not good, I think Gesicki's breakout that he had last week with a solid performance does not come to fruition again this week against the Panthers. So I'm sitting Gesicki.
I like it. All right, so who are we picking? These are good ones to choose from.
These are good ones. I really like both Kelce and Laporta. So
Let's go with Kelce. Let's just shake up the world. And maybe we put the reverse jinx on him and all the Taylor fans love us because he has like 3 touchdowns on Sunday or something, right?
Maybe.
All right, so to recap, head on a stick, Wayne. How do you think we did? All right, your sits: Anthony Richardson, Rashad White, Jalen Waddle, and Travis Kelce. And Fee, I think we did pretty good for the 2 of us.
I think not bad at all.
No, I mean, I haven't listened to it yet, but going into it before the listen, I'm going to give us a solid B-. You know, I'm sure Wayne will have some. Wayne, what do you think? I think you guys did okay. I'll give you some feedback. All right, Wayne, we'll take it.
I love it.
All right, so before we go, we know we have a lot of friends and listeners in the Atlanta area. Stay safe with the hurricane impending, coming your way. Long-time listener Anthony and Jeff and Nomi and all of Wayne's crew down there, and of course Benny and your fam. Thinking of you all, and stay safe. And everybody else, good luck this weekend in fantasy, and take care. Thanks for being with us.